All right, we got a fun episode lined up for all of you today. We got Kyle in the studio, we got Jack on the call, we got Jimmy Knorp on the call. Breaking down a lot of Jim's 2025, his perspective on the D-backs, his personal performance. Vermont, Kyle, you even asked him about the offseason a little bit.
Yep,
and some moves he's going to make.
It's brewing. The hot stove is brewing right now.
Hot stove's brewing a little bit. Jack, anything from you want to share before we get into this one?
No, it was a great interview with Jimmy. Awesome we were able to get him on. I shared with you guys a little extended Humble Homeowner segment, so hope you guys enjoy that. I know it's been a while, but yeah, this was a fun episode. Stick around to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Enjoy it. This is the Pipe It Up podcast, and cue the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pipe It Up podcast, the official podcast of MLW Wiffle Ball. I'm joined in studio today by Kyle Schultz. Kyle, thanks for joining me.
I'm back.
And we got a couple more fellas with us on Zoom. We have Jack Agner and Jimmy Knorp, co-host and guest today as well. Fellas, welcome. Happy Monday.
Pleasure to be here with Jimmy Knorp, I gotta say. Real pleasure.
It's a mutual feeling to be here with all the fellas. It really is.
This is a tough little stretch to top here, Jack. You pulled Dan and you pulled Jimmy in back-to-back weeks. That's tough to top.
Probably our two hardest guests to get on the podcast, believe it or not, and we've doubled them up here in only a few weeks. So things are looking up for the Pipe It Up podcast as far as getting and retaining guests. So stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned.
Things are looking up. I'm slowly forgetting the trauma that was the Waffle House challenge. I'm mentally preparing myself to maybe like eat a breakfast food with syrup on it, maybe this holiday season. Jack, are you quite there yet?
Dude, that's so funny you said that. My wife has made a Sunday tradition of coming home from church and making herself pancakes. And ever since the Waffle House challenge, I have respectfully opted out of the pancakes after church, which I think, yeah, exactly. I think you guys could understand. And this past Sunday was the first weekend I opted back in.
Wow.
Boy, was I happy I did. I think I'm over the trauma. I also did watch a pretty funny edited video by our super fan Nickens.
That was awesome.
Reviewing the Waffle House challenge, and that had a lot of comedy around it, even more so than the challenge itself. So that video was funny, and I think that kind of triggered me. Honestly, I was like, you know what, I could kind of go for a waffle or a pancake right now. So
That's
yeah,
sweet.
I think I'm over my fear.
We got to link that video, by the way, Tom. Have you seen it?
I have not watched it
It's
yet.
like a 30 for 30 mockumentary about your waffle eating experience.
How long is it?
Like 20 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
It's like 20 minutes.
It's narrated, it's edited, it's good.
It's a good
I'll have
watch.
to watch
It's
that
a good
tonight.
watch. I gotta admit, Nickens, you did a great
Like,
job.
you could tell he wrote a script for it.
Oh man, now I feel bad that I haven't seen it. I'll be honest,
Yeah.
it's my bad, Nickens.
It's good.
Kyle did send it to me, but I have not watched it yet. Or else I would have chimed in, of course. I'm excited to watch it for the record, and I'll report back next week during the Christmas episode. But Jim, thank you for joining us. Sorry about the 2 minutes of rambling we always do. Glad to have you on. And once again, this is kind of per your request, Jim. You told me last time I saw you that you wanted to be on the show. Is that true?
Yeah, it's just been a while, Tom. I haven't got to talk wiffle ball in a while. I'm missing it since the World Series has gone down. I watched your guys' episode last week. It was a good one, so excited to be back.
Nice. Well, glad to have you on here. I'm pulling up my notes here so I don't forget anything I wanted to ask you. But first and foremost, I want to talk about you and the D-backs. You guys ended up falling in the NLCS there to the Eagles. But how would you, looking back a few months now, how would you assess the performance for the team this year in 2024, as well as your personal performance as well?
Yeah, I was honestly very happy with our performance. We always talk about this time. We talk about it when we get eliminated from the playoffs, but it takes a while to get over losing playoff games like that. Like, getting hurt in the moment, I was definitely hurt. I feel like I wanted to win this year really more than ever. Kind of wanted to prove that we could get back on top and still be that dominant team, and it didn't happen. But at the end of the day, when you go 11-4 in the regular season, you win the division, and you don't lose a single regular season series, that's a pretty good year. And then you get knocked out by the champs, right? Like the Eagles they were on a mission this year. Sometimes it's destiny. When a team's rolling, they're rolling, and they just got the better of us that day. It was unfortunate. I felt like on that particular day, the NLCS, me and Trey both didn't have our best stuff on the mound, but we also didn't score any runs at the plate, and you can't win games when you don't score a run. So Dallas was dominant. The Eagles played really well all year. They definitely deserved it.
Yeah, you mentioned the Eagles there, Jim. What were your overall thoughts on the World Series? Just the event, the outcome of the series. I know you obviously gave your pick before the series that it would in fact be a sweep. I guess maybe if you wanted to go into a little bit more detail of why that was the case and kind of how that played out.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, I thought the World Series was awesome this year. I talked about it a little bit at the end of the Game 3 video, the little recap, but I thought Kyle did a great job running this event. I think it was the best World Series we've hosted. I know it's the only one I've been at with like fans, but I thought it was incredible. Fans on the field was awesome. Going into my prediction, I do want to talk about it a little bit, why I went Eagles in 3. I just thought this is my main point. I didn't really touch on this in the intro, and I kind of wanted to. Ryan Kratch, while being a great pitcher, he strikes out everybody, and I felt like the Preds defense just never was really tested all year. And if there was one team that was going to test that Predators defense, it was going to be the Eagles. Like, Kratch is so good, but the Eagles were going to find ways to put balls in play. And I mean, I think there was just little plays, like you go into Game 2, maybe it was Game 3, whatever game Dan scored from first base on that ball hit to the wall, like, as much as that's great base running on Dan's part, give Dan his credit where credit's due, like, as a defense, you just can't let that happen. A guy can't score from first base on a ball to the wall. There was a similar play in the NLCS where Waylon was on second base and they hit a ball to the wall and pitched through that ball to me, and I ended up getting the runner at home. And the Preds, when it happened to the Preds, Russell, instead of throwing that ball to Kratch, tried to run it all the way in. And you're kind of always taught in baseball, you're never going to run the ball faster than you can throw it. So the best thing you do is to get that ball in, and that just didn't happen. So, like, I think it was little things like that the Eagles just had that the Preds didn't. I thought, the Eagles' defense this year, I think they were better than us defensively, and that's saying a lot. Like, I always talk about the Diamondbacks' defense, and I think that's why I view us as kind of the 2 top teams in the league right now, which Kyle just had in the power ranking. So, don't get me wrong, the Preds are a great team. They could have won that series, but I think it came down to the little plays are what win you games, and I think the Eagles capitalized on that a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jim, when you guys were playing that NLCS, did you think right then and there whoever won that series was going to win the World Series?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like that was the team that we needed to beat. It was very similar. Again, I don't want to disrespect the Preds. Like, they're a great team. They definitely could beat us, but it felt like the same thing kind of in 2022. Like, I even told my guys before the series when we played the Mallards, I was like, if we beat these guys, like, this is the team that we need to beat to win the World Series. I felt good against either of the AL teams, and I thought the Mallards were the best team in the league that year, so that was the team that we had to knock out. But yeah, I mean, obviously we still would have had to take care of business in Texas, but I felt like the Eagles were the best team.
I find it pretty interesting, Jack, that, you and I talk a lot about on the show. Of course, we do talk about defense, but like when we're previewing a series, at least I know for myself, I'm always talking about like pitcher versus hitter matchups, and like the stars in the squad, pitchers, different arsenals, how they match up against certain lineups. And we don't really focus on defense that much. And the first thing that Jimmy says on here about why he thought the Eagles would sweep them was because of the defense on the Preds.
Yeah, it is interesting. I feel like we do mention it in hindsight. Obviously,
Yes.
Hindsight's 2020, and anyone can see it, because we did talk about the difference just in the Eagles' experience and their confidence out there defensively versus the Predators' defense. And we mentioned like similar plays that Jimmy did, but you're totally right. I don't think we do that enough in terms of thinking about what teams got the better defensive matchup going into a series. Whose defense could maybe give them the edge. So that's a good point there, Tom. I think we'll have to put that into our bag going forward.
No, I agree.
To defend the Preds a little bit on the defensive side, I will say they're a very athletic defense, and they make a lot of top 10 plays, it seems. Like, they go for robs, they go for diving catches, they throw the ball around, go for pegs a lot, but sometimes that's not what you need. Sometimes you just need to be safe, fundamentally sound. And yeah, in the World Series, we saw that wasn't the case. Also, it just came to my mind too, but in that Chicago series, on that ground ball to the left side, when Russell chucks it in, hits Kratch in the face, and then goes out of play.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not what you want. You just want to play it safe there, get it into Kratch, let Kratch do what he wants with it. And yeah, that's a good point, Jim. The Eagles just outplayed the Preds defensively in that series.
I would agree 100%. What other squads besides yourselves, the Eagles, the Preds, Jim, did you really see as like World Series competitors this year? Like, what teams do you think were maybe better than their record showed, or even on the contrast, like were there any teams out there you think were worse than their record showed, or just what teams I guess really stood out to you this year as like real players or teams that were maybe kind of fraudulent?
I think two teams I would definitely say better than the record shows. First, I'd start with the Gators. I think the Gators were honestly probably a top 5 team in MLW this year. Just so happened that 3 of those other teams were in their division. I thought they played really well. They played us tough with a couple little things. I think you guys have already talked about this on the pod, but like the Jorgie robbed Homer.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't rob that, if Jorgie doesn't rob that, I think the Gators get in.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. And then the other team I want to talk about too, like that the record to me just didn't reflect how the team played. Not just saying this because Kyle's here. I think the Wildcats are a really good team. If I was to base it off of talent, I'd probably put the Wildcats at second in the AL right now. Like they lost some really tough games. I think PB is going to Bauman. I think he's going to be awesome next year on the mound. Like
they know who PB is, Jim. They know who PB is.
The listeners know.
Good. I think he had some really bad luck. Like his first series was against us, and for some reason we just killed him. I really don't know why. Like, he threw the ball well.
I've talked about this. Like, how did teams see PB so well?
No, we were joking about it as a team. We didn't know what was happening. I think Bauman will take a huge step next year. I think he'll be a top pitcher in this league, and I think the Cats' offense is too good. Kyle had a really good year at the dish. Like I remember, and a clutch year too. Like obviously, I'm behind the camera now for all the Wildcat games, and Kyle would come up clutch time after time. Ty Fredsnick, really good rookie season. So I think that Cats team is going to be dangerous. Also have the first overall pick, and I think that's going to be good for them.
True.
That'll be huge.
Talent.
I'm really big on Ty as well as Pat. They had a lot of just like learning moments this year. Like I remember a couple times Pat would just be like, I was so on to this one moment where I just like had a little bit of lapse of focus, hung it over the plate, and then like there was none of that anymore. But that would lose us a game. Like and just you don't have the time to learn in the game to fix that moment. But those are critical errors that I'm sure he can fix and are very correctable. And I'm very excited about our draft options that we are now weighing the options right now.
I got a text from Preston Colm a couple days ago. I was out and about busy, so like I couldn't really have a conversation with him. But he's like, "Who we drafting this year, Tom?" And I was like, "I don't know, man." We didn't talk about it more, but it's crazy how it's already, we're already approaching the new year here.
Oh, we didn't even mention Liam Jackson, man, clutch.
Liam Jackson, LJ, the legend,
the professor. Why do you call him that, by the way, Jimmy?
Because
that's a story for your teammate Sailor. Sailor gave him that name, not me.
He never even gave me an explanation. It was something simple. It was just like, he looks like a professor. I was like, why?
Jim, I thought of you recently. I was looking for a clip of me when I had my mustache, so I was going through the Pipe It Up like reels that I posted last year, and I came across the one that was like, I think I titled it like Nick Sailor moments that were like funny but not on purpose or whatever it was.
Oh, the podcast one?
Yeah, and
Texas.
Texas.
Oh, that was so good.
There was that one, and there was another one where I think it was the same podcast where I was like, Sailor, I think I ate a couple of your mozzarella sticks. Like, my bad. And he goes, "That's okay, Tom." And the way he says it is so funny. It's just something about his voice. And I think it's also because Jimmy is a good audience for Sailor. So then you hear Jimmy laugh, like it makes you, it's like one of those things where it's just funny to observe, like the relationship of Sailor and Jimmy.
Oh, we've got some news, guys.
Oh, we got news?
Nick Sailor will be going to the Young's Backyard Battle Tournament.
Wow. Texas.
I know.
Texas.
I know. It's breaking. It is breaking news. He'll be there.
How'd you get him to text you back?
I don't know. Because it's such a cool event. It just overrode all of the other.
I think it's Texas.
Yeah, it is Texas. He loves Texas.
That'd be a funny clip to resurface.
It's like 4 straight years, I think, with him. Shout out to Nick.
I was gonna actually say maybe Sailor's got to be the next guest on the podcast to keep this streak rolling of hard people to get on the pod. Yep. Nick is just hard to contact in general. Not get on the podcast, but just hard to like reach out to and have a conversation with. So if we can get him on the podcast again, that would be that might, that's I think that might be the only thing that can keep this streak going for us here, Tom.
The elusive three-peat. I wonder what do you think Sailor would do as a Christmas special guest?
That'd be awesome.
That could be comical.
He would light it up. Pun intended.
I'll let him wear the Santa suit this year. I need a new costume. Actually, I got an outfit to wear. I already know.
Do you not have the suit anymore?
I got the suit, but I need to switch it up.
All right.
You got to be unpredictable.
All right.
Somebody else can wear the Santa suit. Sailor, you could wear the Santa suit. Jack, I could drop you off the Santa suit.
I'll wear it.
You wear it, beard and all. You should dye your.
Why not?
You should dye your beard white, Jack, for the holiday season.
Grow my beard out from now until Christmas and then dye it white.
Yes, that'd be awesome.
Just for the pod.
I'll dye my mustache white. I'll grow it out.
I'd have to go baby face after that to get rid of it though, and I don't know if the folks are ready to see that. I don't know if they're ready for that.
Didn't you go baby face?
Again, they've only seen
year?
it once.
Yeah, or was it last year you went baby face?
It wasn't this year. It was a couple years ago maybe, but it was. I don't think it was favored in the league. I don't think the fans really liked it, to be honest.
I have to see again to really give you an honest opinion. I don't remember. I don't recall. But you look good in all kinds of different looks, Jack. You can rock the short hair. You rock the flow. Longer beard, shorter beard. I like your beard.
It's mostly just being lazy, and
yeah, that's okay. I've been lazy before too. It's all good. Jim, back to you. You made a big change this year in kind of the behind the scenes roles, or in front of the camera behind the scenes. Kind of took on the role as the pregame analyst as well as a videographer for most games. What was that experience like for you this year?
It was fun. I loved it a lot. I told Kyle this at the end of the year, like, I thought it was a pretty smooth transition. Kyle did a good job being patient with me in like certain aspects. Like the thing I think I even told you, Tom, I was most nervous about was actually not like announcing games or being in front of the camera. I was more nervous about being behind the camera, which took a little bit. It's honestly not that hard, but like once you get the hang of it, it's good. But I loved announcing. Announcing's super fun. I have obviously a passion for baseball and sports and stuff like that. So that was super cool to finally get a chance to do something like that. And I was glad that the fans received it well too. It seemed like they liked it. So it's funny. I told players in the league this, like, I don't check the comments for videos that I play in, but I do check the comments for videos that I announce in. Cause like, I just want what fans were thinking, what I could do better and stuff like that. But I had an absolute blast. It was a ton of fun.
What do you think, Jim? Like, what were your expectations going into like stepping into this new role versus what maybe surprised you? You know, what challenged you, I guess, a little bit more, or what came easier maybe to you than you think?
I think coming easier to me was just, again, being behind that camera, like knowing that I have enough knowledge of the game, both baseball and wiffle ball, where it's like it came super natural. I knew I would be good at it, but like from the very first inning, like in that first Wildcat series, I felt pretty good to go. I'd say the hardest thing was just actually being in front of the camera for the intros. Like I thought we would kind of fly through it, but it's so funny. Like it's awkward. You know, it's not like a real conversation at times. Like I think Kyle knocks this out of the park too. Like he always says this, when we're talking more like natural and just flowing and having a conversation, it's easier than like trying to follow an exact script sometimes. And I guess that was just when you're looking directly into the lens of a camera and talking, like there's just something about it that's almost like intimidating.
Yeah.
But
no, I totally understand that. I got that feeling hosting the award show a few years back, which is not nearly as watched probably as all the videos that you were an analyst for, but it was the same kind of thing where Kyle did a good job of kind of like giving me a script, sort of like a basis of what to say. And Warda, you know, him hosting, he could attest to this too. Like trying to follow the script exactly to a T is almost harder. Like you end up having to try to just find the best way to, you know, say it like in your own way and still get the point across. But there is totally, you know, even like compared to just this podcasting, like we're really just talking and having a conversation, and yeah, we're filming with a camera and publishing it, but it's not like that where you're in a different setting where it's more like succinct and professional, and you're trying to get like a very specific point across. So there is a challenge that comes with that. What about like, I've always wanted to, and Kyle, I don't know if I've told you this, I maybe have, but I feel like it would be really cool to like be able to announce an MLW game. And I know that Kyle doesn't just give that opportunity to everyone, but if he ever were to give that opportunity to me, I guess being a new guy, what would your like number one, you know, piece of advice kind of be for that?
Just feel the moment.
Feel the moment. Feel the groove.
Do a moment, do a little bit of homework on the two teams that you're watching just to know what's going on. And if you're playing like in those big series, I would always have at least one or two calls in the back of my head where it was like, if this happens, have this call. Like there's something in like Brooklyn where Drew hit a home run and he wears number 2, which was Derek Jeter's number, and we're in New York. And I was like, Drew Davis is in Brooklyn, but he's looking like a Bronx Bomber. The captain goes deep.
That was good.
That was your best call of the whole year, I thought, Jimmy.
I think it might have been 2. And like I had that one ready just in case Drew went deep, and thankfully Drew came through for me there.
I think that's well said, Jim. I think one of the like challenges too, because of the way the infrastructure is set up, is like you're also kind of responsible for the main shot of the video.
Yeah.
So that can like be, for me, anxiety inducing at times, because like when I first started, there was times where like I wasn't rolling when I needed to be, like missed a pitch, and like thank God no one hit the ball there because I wasn't ready. So I wonder if you ever encountered anything like that, Jim. I know I watched over your shoulder for your first series to make sure you were recording, but
yeah, you put heavy emphasis on that. You put heavy emphasis to make sure I had the camera rolling. So I think when I was behind the camera, the main camera, I don't know if I ever missed a pitch. I definitely missed pitches when I wasn't on the main camera.
I think you were perfect. You were perfect this year, Jim.
Money.
Never missed a pitch.
The other cameras, I definitely missed some pitches.
All right, it's time for the commish to come clean here.
Yeah. Oh boy.
How many times have we had to remake something that happened because the main camera wasn't filming in the history of MLW?
Never a ball in play, right? I don't think so.
Not really. We only did it a couple times at Colts Field because there was a top 10 play that wasn't filmed, and we recreated it.
But we never actually included those in the video because they were so fake looking.
I think maybe just the top 10 videos. I'm not sure.
But
in terms of actual gameplay, I think maybe just like a walk or something. Like just like somebody throw a ball here and then...
I knew Walker strikeout for sure.
Yeah, I think that's it though. Nothing, no balls in play, no home runs. That'd be too hard to do. But I think maybe just like one simple pitch of throwing a ball just over the zone or something because we missed it or something.
I can recall trying to replicate a top 10 play, but like it was
like 2011, I mean.
Yeah, it was so bad.
That we probably did.
And we didn't even use it. Yeah, it was disappointing. There were some good plays at Colts Field that were not filmed, which is a bummer. I remember like the IG Live for Game 2 was a game changer because then we had everything actually on somewhat of video, even if it wasn't like good quality.
3 or 4 games a day and maybe record one.
Yeah.
And sometimes not even one.
But
I mean, I don't think it's happened at all. Obviously, at the Meadows, I only asked that question because I thought it was funny because it is like it shouldn't happen obviously, but at the same time you could also see how easy that would happen. Like Jimmy just forgets to press the record button and then someone hits a bomb and we're like, oh, what do we do now? Like
luckily
that's the video right there. Like so. I don't know. I just thought that was I knew that you guys had done that way in the past.
Now it will never happen because like it could happen.
We have so many
there's so many different cameras that like it's almost impossible to miss a moment. But 2019 World Series, Ward a home run. Remember that?
Yeah.
That was a side cam.
It was like the first pitch of the game. I was resetting cameras. I just got back to my stool and the pitch was thrown. So I couldn't obviously like play the clip right as I started because the ball was already in the air. So I just cut to the side cam first and then cut back to the main cam. So we've done that a bunch of times. But no iconic clip beyond that was like ever.
If we actually
recreated.
Like missed a play now, it'd be like 6 cameras failing at one time.
Yeah,
like,
no.
it would be like theoretically impossible unless it was like super irresponsible on our part, which wouldn't happen.
We always have a wide shot, like no matter what, like pretty much showing the entire field, and we always have cameras doing close ups. So like, it'd be pretty hard to miss one.
Yeah,
I also just find that funny because I like for us to try to like recreate or fake something with the skill and like speed that we play at now compared to like what was being played at Colts Field. Like I don't even think we could do it now.
I know.
If all 6 cameras failed, I think we would have to just be like, yeah, this is what happened. But like the Colts Field stuff's funny because it's like everybody's so young and they're moving so slow. Like you can't even tell if it's like real or not. Like
Jack,
you wouldn't know the difference.
I always think it's so funny when people in the comments are genuinely thinking the games are rigged. And it's like we would have to be insane actors to like have a game end a certain way with like a walk-off home run and everything that leads up to it. And the reactions in the field of the devastation. Like we would need to win some Oscars.
It's not rigged.
Yeah, the amount of time that it would take to stage and like set up a video like that compared to the amount of time that actually takes to play those series, like it wouldn't even be worth it. Like you might as well just play the real stuff. So, but yeah, MLW is scripted, guys.
It's scripted, not rigged. Right. Is that fair?
It's scripted 15 years out. What is it, Commish? 15, 20 years out?
I don't know.
Yeah, 15. I'm working on the 2040 season. So,
speaking of 15, I realized today that when Juan Soto's contracts end, I'll be 40, and I was like, dear God. That's scary.
Oh, another thing about Jim and his like production side of things. Jimmy, can you please let the fans in on the pocket radar situation you always have to deal with?
Oh my goodness! So this pocket radar, Tom. I don't know what
it sounds like user error.
No, me and this pocket radar are going to have to become friends at some point. But Kyle always goes, Jim, can you set up the pocket radar? And I look at this thing, Tom, for a good 30 seconds. I'm like, we're going to go to war today, me and you. And what happens is I plug everything in. Kyle says, is it ready to go? I say, it looks good to go. And then sure enough, the pitcher will start warming up. Nothing happens. Kyle will do the same thing. He plugs everything in. It's the exact same button I hit. Boom, ready to go. And I'll never understand. Like not like this happened once or twice, Tom. This happens every time. Series.
Oh, Jim.
I swear, I do the exact same thing he does.
It's kind of just a running joke at this point. I don't even know what I do. Like, I think I just unplug and replug it in. It always seems to work, but never for Jimmy.
Sounds like user error to me. That's like my mom saying, "Oh, my phone didn't ring when you called. I swear it didn't ring, or I didn't get your text. It never popped up." It's like, Mom, how come you've had 3 iPhones in a row that don't work, and everybody else has a working iPhone in the United States? Just you have an iPhone that never works. It seems a little too good to be true.
It's like when you lose something and your mom comes into your room and's like,
"That's very true.
If I come in there and I find it, you're in big trouble." And then she always finds
something in the pantry.
Yeah,
never can find it. Or like she needs you to find something for her when you're not home. Or like my dad in the garage. I'm like, dude, I've looked everywhere in this garage, and he walks in and finds it.
Yeah, it's exactly that.
It's okay, Jim. You and that pocket radar, you'll get it together at some point, maybe. You'll see eye to eye with it one day. I wanted to ask you because I can speak. I'm not saying correlation.
Causation.
Yeah, implies causation, but I'd say that me not being in your role this year made me a worse player. Do you think doing it made you a better player, or worse, or indifferent?
I would probably say indifferent. I think I had a very good year on the mound and not a very good year at the plate, so those two kind of cancel each other out. I think this was my best year on the mound and my worst year at the plate. So talking about individual performance, there's some things I'd like to see me do better, but I don't think it has anything to do with the role. I think it's just more with me and the league continuing to get better and better.
Do you think it helps you at all, like being behind the camera?
I would say what helps me is just being there for every single series, no matter what.
That's what I think.
So I know the history of like what guys tend to go to or how they're feeling, like, or if they're in a slump or not, like really knowing the stuff, like not having like miss a video. Like I'm there for every single series. Mm-hmm. I know like if people are on slumps or on hot streaks, where to pitch guys, what to definitely stay away from. So I think that part, just the experience, really helps.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that as well. Jack, anything from you?
I wanted to ask Jim again. You know, we went back and did the Slam T1D event again this year. Just how cool is that event again to be a part of, and you know, just have that as something that you know MLW partners with.
No, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Jack. This year was super special, especially with Mason coming out from London, England. Like meeting him was awesome. The first thing he said, he comes up to me and Trey, or I think it was his mom actually. His mom came up to me and Trey and was like, the reason Mason got into baseball is because after he got diagnosed with diabetes, he immediately saw the video of you guys and said he wanted to play baseball. And like, that's so crazy to me that we still have things like that happen. I think that's the biggest part of MLW that I try not to take for granted. Like I always tell people coming into the league, like I joined MLW because I love to play wiffle ball. I never thought I'd have a platform, or I never thought I could affect other people's lives. And when parents say something like that to you, like it really kind of opens up your eyes to just what you're doing and how special it is. So to do that was super awesome. Just being there, super awesome. I mean, they raised what was it, Kyle? $400,000 this year, I think was the number.
I think so. They seem to break their record like every year.
That's a lot of money.
Unbelievable number. $400,000 from people out there playing wiffle ball and just donating. So super cool event. It's funny, Tom. You've played in the 9-on-9 tournament that they host, and for some reason the MLW wiffle ball guys just can't win those games, and it's embarrassing, but it's all in good fun.
Jim, I went off at that tournament last year when I played in it. I had a couple bombs. I heard the Pish rake at this one.
Yeah, I think you did.
I think I heard Pish raked.
It's just got a swing made for like home run derby /
Wasn't Mason like roasting Cheatham a little bit?
Yeah, we played a game where we lost like 16-2, and our starting pitcher was Chris Cheatham, and he was just getting shelled. And Mason's like, what? Mason was the catcher, and he was not having it with Cheatham, and that had everybody on our team laughing because obviously, Cheatham's one of the guys in this league similar to Bennett who catches a lot of flack. So for Mason to pick up and start picking on Chris a little bit was funny.
Something just about Chris. He's just an easy guy to bully, I guess.
I
Love
think
you, Chris.
I think that day is a sneaky top 10 of all time in MLW history because ending it with that Trey Flood walk-off home run.
Moment of the year, for sure.
That is so storybook.
Yeah.
So good. Shout out to Trey.
That's the moment of the year, in my opinion.
It'll be top 5. I'll be doing that top 5 thing this year on Instagram.
Winding down the year.
Winding down the top 5. So that'll be in there. I don't know what.
Top 5, not 5.
Yeah, I don't know what ranking, but that'll be in there.
Not 5.
Not 5.
Not 5.
Maybe 5.
That was
so
cool. And I personally, Jim, I do appreciate you and your efforts at that event. It's pretty awesome for everybody, and I think you're kind of like the center of attention at times, and you handle it well. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, how was it out there this year without Shima? And how did his retirement affect the Diamondbacks? Was he the reason you guys couldn't break through the Eagles?
Yeah, we tell Pishka that he's the problem, actually, ever since Pish won the team. We don't win the ring anymore, so it's clearly Pish. But no, it was definitely weird. We missed Shima. He came out, took a couple practices with us, so that was still fun. But I remember the first game, looking back, and at shortstop was Pishka, not Shima. It was definitely different. I do have to give a huge shout out to Pish, though. Like, I know he's a great athlete, but we always talk about Shima's defense, and rightfully so. And I think Pishka even one-upped him defensively. Like, I think Pishka did a heck of a job playing that shortstop position this year. So definitely different without Shima, but Pishka stepped up, and I was really happy with our defense. We didn't really miss a beat.
How's Shima doing?
He's doing good. We still hang out all the time. Monday night basketball, which is starting up again soon. He's almost becoming a cop. I think he's going to the academy soon. He's kind of had like a little internship where he's just working the front desk at a police station, but he's doing good. He's a goofball. We love him.
Didn't you play pickleball with him like every day in the summer?
Oh my, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, Kyle. Me and Shima pickleball this summer. Like,
you would talk about it every single day, so I had to.
No, like 5 days a week, me and Shima would play pickleball, and it's funny. We're very good. I'm not gonna lie. Like we want to start getting in turn.
Like doubles.
Doubles. We would play doubles together and like would run up to the local park and just
hustle people.
Not lose for like 5 hours. We'd just be out there.
not win, but we just would not lose for 5 hours.
Well, there's a lot of old timers out there, but I'm telling you, some of them can play. But they also don't get happy with us because like we're out there and they always tell us to split up, and like there's times where we refuse to split up because we're like no. But other people are like they want to play us because they think playing the good competition will make you better. And
you got to play up.
I got to find myself a partner in pickleball and try to take you down next summer. I think I didn't play a single game of pickleball this entire year. I think 2 years ago I might have played like once or twice with family, but that was it. I haven't gotten the pickleball bug.
Who was grinding on the pickleball courts 2 years ago in Oklahoma?
90-degree heat, and we have 3 games later. You got Cheatham,
Zerlag.
Jorgensen, Zerlag, and Irwin just sweating it out
Shirtless.
out there, just playing pickleball. And the fans were actually watching them. Like there was adults that were watching, and I was
should
like,
have
kind of
filmed
nearby.
that and made a segment out of it.
And the guys were like, it's weird seeing them do anything besides wiffle ball. And I was like, they're just people.
Yeah.
Just having fun. But yes, the pickleball, it's a fun game. I do like it because it's kind of like wiffle ball in terms of, yeah, there's a skill gap, but like you can, in theory, anyone can go out there and play and like have a good time doing it. So it's a fun game.
Jim, I'm ready to grill you on your 2025 plans. All right, what are we looking at? Is Carter Richard going to have a bigger role? Is Casey Bennett going to be there? What are we looking at for the draft board? Let me hear all of it.
I hope Benny's not coming back.
Well,
I'm kidding.
Unfortunately, you might get your wish. I don't want to say Benny's retiring by any means, but he won't have an internship in Michigan this summer, so he's already told me that his time's going to be more limited. He's going to try to get out to like 2 series maybe, which would still be nice to have him there. I definitely want to get Carter Richard. You gonna miss Benny?
No.
Tom, come on. Why are you bullying Benny?
Wait. Who was I said that I can't bully?
No,
was it Bennett?
I think Tom said that he'd be playoff eligible.
I did say he'd be playoff eligible. Yes.
Okay.
Was it either Blade or Bennett?
I think
it's Bennett.
I think I did say bullying Bennett is no longer cool because it became mainstream. So yeah, you're right. I can't bully Bennett anymore. Love you, Bennett. Love you, Benny. Miss you. Go ahead, Jim. Sorry.
Gotcha. But I definitely want to get Carter Richard more involved. I don't draft people for no reason. I think he's very talented. Every year at Wiffle in the Mitten, he performs well. He's got good hand-eye coordination. I've always wanted a left-handed bat in our lineup, and he provides that. But I also want to give some love to Trey, because Trey's gotten kind of like screwed over the last couple of years, I just want to say, because it's like every time I put him in the lineup, he performs well, but I just never can find consistent at-bats for him. So maybe with Bennett taking a step back, I can finally give Trey the consistent at-bats that he deserves. So that for sure. Definitely, I'll be looking at the trade market as well. Ooh. I think our problem this year is offense. Yep, and I wanna get a bat, whether that's draft or trade. I want one more bat to solidify a good group of 6/7 guys. But
Let's still love our core. Deal, Jim. Let's make a deal for Pish.
You're gonna want Pish, and Pish is not on the market. You can't have Pish. I love that guy.
Come on.
I feel like there's gonna be some deals.
What if I took Benny off your hands too? I took Pish and Benny.
Now we're talking.
Now we're talking.
It's like taking the big veterans contract with the young.
That's right.
And Benny's the big veteran.
Except Benny just smells
addition
bad.
by subtraction there for the D-backs.
But I also want to say, like, too, real quick, that our offense was down this year, and we were still like 11-4 and found ways to win, which I like a lot. Like, myself had not a good year at the plate for my standards for sure, and I thought Pish was going to take that next step this year, and he really kind of took a step back. And I think he's a way better hitter than he showed this year. So, like, if me and Pish can get going again, we should be a dominant duo at the top of that order. Kind of similar to you and Robles, Tom. Like, you guys just had down years.
Dominant. Real dominant this year. I hit like 40.
But yeah, that's what I said. Like, if you and Robles are you and Robles, the Mallards would be a lot better. It's the same thing. Like, I think if me and Pish are what me and Pish should be doing, I think we're talking about us potentially hoisting that trophy at the end of the year again.
That's fair. Very fair.
You guys want to know a fun fact?
I love fun facts.
So there's a lot of talk about this being the dead ball year. There were more runs scored than 2023.
Really?
Wow. I didn't know that people were saying this is a dead ball year.
Just by a little bit, but there was a little more.
People could say that Tommy Coughlin really makes or break a season in terms of it being called a dead ball year or not. That could be.
Tom might be the X factor.
It might be the difference. Jack and Tom.
Might be me too.
Pipe It Up podcasts. They really make or break the up and down years for the offense. But
Yep. We know the Pipe It Up podcast co-hosts here did not do their great job of pulling up the league batting average. That's for sure. But Jimmy, it was a pleasure having you on. I guess before we send you off, is there anything, we worked really hard to get you on this podcast. This is your one shining moment to give these loyal listeners, anything you'd want to tell them, anything at all.
No, with my one shining moment, I think we've already kind of covered everything that I want to talk about. So you guys kind of nailed it on the head, as Tom is still singing One Shining Moment over there.
One shining moment.
I got to get on more than as this dive goes on. But no, that'll be it. It's always good seeing you guys. Always good being on, and happy holidays to all of you.
Hey, Jim, say happy holidays to your father for me, will you?
I will. From you. I got
it. Good. Love that guy. All right. Well, Jim, thank you for joining us.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Jim.
it. If you want to hang out to hear Humble Homeowner, you can, but I know you're a busy man. You got school going on, finals coming up, so if you got to jump, no worries.
Yeah, I'm going to go study like a good student, Tom. You got it.
All right, you do that, Jim. You do that. Don't go on TikTok now. These young kids, man, they just get on there and waste their time. But, okay. See ya, Jim. Thanks again. Thank you, James B. Knorp. Jack, we've kept the fans waiting now for a few weeks. We promised them Humble Homeowner, and we reserved some time today to get to it. I'm hoping you got some stuff in the arsenal here. It's been, like I said, it's been a while, so I'm thinking you got something.
I do have some things. So I think I can't remember if I told kind of the story of overall sort of all the projects redoing the kitchen, but our kitchen was
no.
If I didn't talk about it, basically our kitchen was pretty outdated, to say the least. It kind of reminded you of like a kitchen from the 80s, just with like the sink and the counters and the cabinets and everything. So and
the mold and the bacteria and the old food, the
asbestos.
corner.
Yeah, all that. So I did repaint all the cabinets, and that was like, that that might be a podcast of its own, just talking about that process. So I'll skip that because that was a while ago. But most recently, what I took upon myself to do, with some help, I might add, was to replace the sink and also try to give the counters a little bit different look. And so I'll explain that a little bit further. But I guess I'll keep the sink story somewhat brief. Long story short, as you can imagine, it's any typical project. I recruited some help. I've never replaced a sink before. There's a lot you can learn on YouTube. But at the same time, I thought it would maybe be nice to have someone who was kind of experienced doing it. So I was actually able to help or have my mom come out. And when she was talking to my grandparents about the fact that I was replacing the sink, they wanted to come help do it. So my grandparents actually, I had like the whole family over to replace the sink. And my mom's like, oh yeah, it'll only take a couple hours. Like Oma and Opa are pros, like they'll do it, no problem. Well, as anyone knows, and I'm sure as you guys have listened to me talk about these projects, they take probably double, if not more of the time than you typically budget for them. And then twice as many trips to Home Depot as well. So that was that. I get the funny story from that is that we get the sink replaced. It wasn't like too big of a deal. It did take a while, but the sink that we replaced was like a double sink, so it kind of had a divider in it, and on one side was a bin with the garbage disposal, and one side just had like a regular drain. And so we replaced it and everything, and like it's all good. And that was like a couple weeks before Thanksgiving. So then Thanksgiving comes, and I'm catching up with my Oma, and she has as grandmothers will do, that she has kind of a way of just being direct and blunt, I might add. So just after all that 4 or 5 hours or whatever it took to like replace the sink, she's sitting there with me and Sarah, and she's like, yeah, if it were me, I never would have taken the double sink out, because we replaced it with like one big like basin or bowl, I guess. It's just one sink.
I like that way better personally. I'm going to ask you about that in a second, but go ahead with the story.
Yeah, so I mean, that was basically it. I mean, it was really just her being like, yeah, after all that, she's like, yeah, I never would have done that. And it's like, oh, wow, thank you for your opinion, Oma. But yeah, so the double, like the divider was just so annoying, because it was like, anytime you try to set
point of the divider,
there's no point whatsoever. I think
I only ever use the garbage disposal side on my sink. I don't understand the point of the double sink. My parents have the single. My rental house has a double. I don't get the point of the double.
So I think in talking to her, why people like it is because I think, before dishwashers really had the technology they do now to like literally clean like everything off of your dishes, a lot of people would just clean most of their dishes by hand, and put whatever like they couldn't clean by hand kind of like in their dishwasher. And so having that like divider kind of like lets you fill one side of the sink and let things like soak that you might clean. Okay. And then the other parts, like, for the garbage disposal. But like, honestly, if I'm going to clean it by hand, I just clean it by hand right away, and then leave it out to dry. Or if I'm not, I just put it in the dishwasher right away, or, let it soak for a second and then put it in the dishwasher. So I don't know. I didn't really get the point. But the real, like, I would say humble homeowner came from redoing these counters. So instead of spending hundreds of dollars to put in new counters, I maybe I'll send a picture of what these counters looked like to PB, but they're like the most hideous 80s laminate blue counters like you've ever seen. They're blue, so they're so outdated. But trying to be budget friendly here, my wife had the idea to just lay contact paper over the counters, and I don't know if you're familiar with this contact paper, but it's extremely sticky. Okay, obviously. So essentially what you're doing is you're laying sort of like vinyl paper over top of this surface or whatever, and it's like adhering to the surface. It comes off really easily, but it comes off like when you pull it off, but it's meant to be pretty like temporary. But this was again, it's like, oh, you can just YouTube it and do it, like, no problem. I think my general rule of thumb is like, if the YouTube video is less than like 10 minutes, it's like probably a task that is probably worth trying to do. But all of these YouTube videos, if you're a YouTuber and you're making videos on how to apply contact paper, you're just like a scam artist. Like, this is not as easy as they make it seem. This project, like, it was so difficult because you're basically trying to lay down like a piece of, extremely, extremely sticky paper over like a large surface. So you can imagine, like, think about putting a screen protector on your phone and like trying to get the bubbles out of your screen protector, but you're doing that on like a way magnified scale, because every like little, centimeter or inch or whatever that you lay down just causes like an air bubble that creates way more problems down the line. So this was like, I mean, it probably cost me $50 in all for like the materials to do this project. And if you look at like a distance, it looks like we have like nice butcher block counters now. But like, if you come up close at all, you just see that it's just like, there's like cracks, there's holes. It looks so bad. Like, I was so disappointed with how it turned out. And I just told Sarah, I was like halfway through and she was like, it looks terrible. I'm like, yeah, I know it looks terrible, but like, I've come this far. Like, I'm going to finish it now. So like literally halfway through, I was like looking up like how much would it really be to like replace these counters? Cause this is just not going to last very long. So that was kind of like my humble,
humbling
homeowner piece. Cause I was like, you know what? I can do it for $50, budget this job. Like, I'll have nice looking counters. It'll be easy. It was not easy. I mean, it's the typical, like, you get what you pay for. They look like $50 counters. So didn't turn out how I wanted to. If you are trying to put contact paper on something, I think it would work if it was like something that was very like, it was of uniform shape. Like, if you were doing an island or something in your kitchen, it would be relatively easy to do. But if you're trying to cut into like corners and nooks and stuff, it's like literally so hard to do. So just a piece of advice for anyone out there trying to do that.
Well said. That is humbling. I'm sorry that happened to you, Jack. It sounds like a bummer and a frustrating day that didn't even end in a successful project. So that sucks.
No, you gotta live and you'll learn. It was a lesson that took a weekend to learn, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Humbled.
That's how it goes.
Humbled, to say the least.
Anything humbling going on here in the studio as a renter?
Oh, goodness. A light bulb that's really high up in my living room that I can't get to. I don't know what it is. No. It went out, so I got to figure out that plan. I don't have a ladder, so that's humbling.
That is humbling.
But Jack, what's the vibe like when you're trying to replace a sink? Do you put on some music to try to convince yourself that's kind of a fun activity? Because that's what I try to do.
Yeah, that's a good option. I've definitely used that before. Music or a podcast. I will say, like, shout out to my mom and my grandparents, because I could have done it without them. It would have been so hard and would have taken so much longer. There's nothing more uncomfortable than laying on your back inside of a cabinet, like trying to unscrew nuts and like get this sink out. It is like, that's why, like, just it's not that like complicated of a task to do, but it's so awkward to do it that I'm glad like we got that over with and it's out of the way, so we don't have to do it. But it is something you just like want to take care of, because it's like you use the sink every day. Like I'd come home to that double sink and just be like, this thing sucks. Like I hate this thing. I want a new sink. And so
Yeah.
it was a grind, but like well worth it for sure.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of double sink either. I do get like the reason for it now that you say that, but I never use it for its intended purpose. So I think it's also annoying and just like in my way 24/7.
Yeah, exactly.
For me, I had kind of this is very minor, but I had a little tiny bit of a humbling moment yesterday. I was finally hanging up Christmas lights, and I have wrapped bushes or hedges with Christmas lights probably 10 times in my life. Like it's not difficult at all. You pretty much just walk around like as you unwind the lights from the little like rack that they're on or little holder that it's on, and it's quite simple. But I was trying to do like the porch yesterday. I'd never done that before, and my roommate was like, yeah, last year we did it this way, so just kind of like do that. And I was like, sounds good. But I just like didn't have a good way of trying to do that. And I was also short, so like, it was like me reaching full extension to get where I needed to get to. And the house that I live in is also like very close to the road, and the neighbor's house is very close to the other side of the road. So people can definitely see me if they're looking. And I probably looked like an idiot because I probably spent the first like 20 minutes trying to do it the way I was told to. And I was like, this just is not working for me at all. So I just totally scrapped it and restarted, and it was way easier. But yeah, I just took that one on the chin and was like, well, if someone saw me, they probably were laughing as I struggled a little bit, but we got through it and it looks fine now.
So I got a bonus one around the Christmas time. If we got time, I'll be quick.
Oh,
so first year, Sarah and I getting a Christmas tree. Woo, woo. So
that's fun.
So we're talking before, and I'm like, we don't have any like straps for the tree, and there's no rails on the top of her car to like ratchet strap anything down into. Because all my memories of like going to get a tree, like my dad would come prepared with ratchet straps, and we would either, we'd find a way to like strap it into the car if we were driving like a truck, or if we had, a larger car that we're putting it on top and like just strapping it down ourselves. And Sarah's like, no, we would always just get like the twine that they would give us like there at the place. Like they just will give you the twine and you can just like, tie it down to your car. And I was like, okay, I don't understand, but whatever, we'll figure it out. So basically, like, long story short, like we get the tree, I get the twine, I'm like wrapping it around like through the car, like through the windows,
open
and
windows.
I'm tying the tree down. So like I get the middle part down, and I'm like, all right, like let's go, we're good to go. We have to drive like 10 minutes, and she's like, no, you got to do like the front of it, like the front of it's gonna like come up. And I'm kind of like, all right, whatever. Like, you want me to, I'll do it. Fine. Like, I'm kind of just like doing it to make her, feel better that it's more tied down. So I'm doing it through the windows now in the front. And then I'm like, I go to get in the car, and I'm like, I can't open the door now. Like the twine went through the windows. So now I can't open the door. So like I'm in the parking lot now with the tree on top of my car, and I'm climbing through the window to get into the car, because I'm like, I can't undo this now. Like undo all of what I did. She was just like, "Oh wow, I didn't think of that."
That's funny.
It was kind of just both of us being like, "Oh, that was a humbling moment." Just
yeah.
This segment could also maybe just be called like your idiot move of the week, but
I think we all go through that though. As you grow up and you do things for the first time, like you're gonna embarrass yourself, which is part of life, man.
Yeah.
Just gotta take it in stride. Take it in stride and laugh at yourself, and life will be a little less stressful, I think.
Amen.
But we appreciate you sharing, Jack. Big week for our Lions as well as we jump off. 12-1's insane. I was actually at the game on Thursday. It was electric. And so fans at home, keep rooting for our boys. We need every win we can get to try to secure this number 1 seed. And the Chiefs, if you're a Chiefs fan, you have the luckiest team of all time. Like this team I watched a thread on Twitter today that was like 8 games this year they won at the last second. Like it's been crazy.
The doink for the division.
Yeah, the doink and in. Oh, it's just funny. But it's been a fun NFL season for sure. And it's kind of sad. Like it's already kind of winding down, but playoffs should be a lot of fun. So hopefully our Lions finish strong. But that's all we got this week, folks. So appreciate you all tuning in. Thanks to Jack for sharing his humble stories. Thank you to Kyle for joining us this week in studio. And thanks to Jimmy Knorp for jumping on as well as this week's guest. next week is the Christmas special.
Let's go.
So that'll be fun. We were just talking before the podcast, I think, or maybe it was during, about outfits. Bring some fun outfits. We'll bring some fun segments. I've got some ideas in place already. I've already shared with Jack. Maybe we'll have Kyle on. Maybe
down.
we'll have Sailor on.
That'd be awesome.
Who knows? We'll try to put something fun together. But that'll be next week, and then probably 2 weeks off after that. So we'll have the 25th off and then the 1st off, and we'll resume on January 8th. So if you guys have enjoyed the previous Christmas pods, definitely stay tuned and check it out. If you have never listened to a Christmas pod, I'd recommend it. I think it's a fun, like, little break from with football talk and more into, like, our personal lives and just us having fun, chit-chatting. So I think it's a cool glimpse into, just life outside of MLW, because it does exist, of course, even though it's a big part of all of our lives. So definitely check it out next Wednesday, and maybe we'll try to get PB involved as well. We'll see. Yeah. We'd love to have PB involved in the show too. So thank you all for listening this week. Thanks again to our guests. Big announcement to wrap up. Sawyer Bean has also announced that he would like to be on the first pod of 2025.
That's big.
So enjoy that nugget. We will see you all next Wednesday for the Christmas pod.
Pipe it up.